Fox Sports.
So the Marlins have been asking themselves, how do you get a win? Well, you start with solid starting pitching from Javi Vasquez. It helps to have your star shine. 2 hits from Hanley. Add a heaping help and a big Mike. Stanton drove in 2. Of course, you need a dose of bullpen. Edward Mujica, stand up, be counted. Hopper, you too. Way to represent. Leo, shut the door. There, that wasn't so hard. Now let's see if the fish can go do it again. Sun Life Stadium, the Marlins and the Angels. Ready to go, ready to finish off this 3-game series. Fish winners last night. How nice is that to hear if you are a Marlins fan? Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Marlins and the Angels played a very good game in Game 1. Angels won by just 1 run. But last night, the ball club kept up the good play, and what a good feeling for this team that's needed a real boost.
Rich, throughout this month, we have thrown out a bunch of different recipes. I kind of like the recipe last night. I think we should stay with it, mix it up, keep it the same, and Jack has done that, too.
Now, in that recipe, we pointed out there were a couple of guys that need to get going. Number 1 was Hanley Ramirez, and number 2 was Mike Stanton. And guess what? Last night, they both got going.
And they're both in the same spot in the lineup tonight. But when you get Hanley going, a couple of hits last night, remember his first hit was an infield base hit. That really got him going. I thought he scored a couple of runs. He had a stolen base. Mike Stanton, of his 3 hits, they were all over the place, up the middle to left field and to right center. A great sign. Big Mike now with 43 RBIs, picking up a couple of big ones last night.
Now, one of the issues the Marlins have had during this skid is the fact that they don't have a lot of starting pitching depth in the minor leagues. So they've had to, on one occasion, have a bullpen start. Guess what? Another occasion like that tonight. Brian Sanchez is going to make the start. Now, the first time they did it, Tommy, in Dodger Stadium, it worked out pretty well.
I think, Rich, that was our first recipe. We started with a little Brian Sanchez. He went 3 innings. Mujica with a couple of nice innings. The Hopper, 2 innings. Mike Dunn and Steve Cishek finished it off. It was a 6-1 win against the Dodgers in Los Angeles. So once again, Brian Sanchez, the 31-year-old versatile guy out of the bullpen, out of Lamar University, gets the start tonight. And who knows? He may go longer than 3. He may go 4 or 5. He goes up against Joel Pinheiro, a guy who in his last outing won his 100th game in the major leagues. He's been with Seattle. He's been with St. Louis. When he's on, a good sinker from Pinheiro.
Our Coventry Healthcare of Florida starting matchup. You've got Pinheiro and you got Brian Sanchez. Jack told Brian Sanchez, heck, I want you to go 9 innings. So see if you can do it for me, kid. We'll see. The Marlins and the Angels finish it off. Craig and Niner, their take on tonight's game. As the Fish and the Halos get set to finish off a 3-game series. Ready to go. Let's start things with Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine.
Thank you, Rich, and good evening again, everybody. Marlins trying to work on a win streak now. If they can make it 2 in a row, they will have to beat the Angels to do that tonight. All right, it's been well reported. Everybody's heard it now. Hanley missed Jack's meeting the other day. Hanley told us, we aired it yesterday, his thoughts, did not know the time of the meeting, he says, and therefore wasn't late. He was there 45 minutes prior to the stretch. Logan Morrison jumped in, took umbrage with Hanley's what he called disrespect in so many words, and got in his face a bit. Now that's over. We saw a good result for the ball club winning last night. I turn it to you, Jeff Conine. Things like that, you've seen it in your career. Can this help the Marlins? What can it do for a team?
Absolutely. You know what? These guys spend 200 days a year with each other. They go to work every day. They're in the same clubhouse. It's like a big fraternity. It's like a family. You have a brother. I mean, I'm sure you fought with him when you were growing up. Things are going to happen, and disagreements going to be had. And, you know, these guys are athletes, and I think the common goal is to win baseball games. And I think at the end of the day, when differences of opinion come up like that and guys challenge each other, it's up to each other to say, hey, look, was I in the wrong? Can we work this out? And I think everything would be smoothed over and ready to go. So I think it brings a team closer together when things like this happen in the clubhouse.
How important is it to have leadership, not just from the coaches, but to have it even from a young guy? You know, Logan's a young player. But even to have some of that inside is key, isn't it?
It's huge. I mean, you know, a manager loves nothing more than for a clubhouse to police itself. You take veteran guys that have been around a long time, and they see situations that happen on the field or in the clubhouse. They sit a young guy down and say, look, this is what's going on. This is how you should conduct yourself. This is what should happen. And when a young guy like Logan Morrison, I know it's like, the rookie should shut up and not say anything, but it's good to have a voice like that, and he's going to be a great leader. All
right, Jack McKeon made his voice heard, too. Benched Hanley one day. What did he do now? He played good cop and put him in the number 4 spot, and he patted him on the back and said, we need you. You're an all-star, Hanley. Go get him. Do your thing. Well, Hanley did last night. He had a couple of hits, and the Marlins looked alive and had some fun, winning 5-2. Game 3 of the series with Rich and Tommy next.
Angels last night. The Marlins snapping an 11-game losing streak with a 5-2 win over the Los Angeles Angels. Tonight, the Fish try to make it 2 in a row. Here come the Angels, brought to you by Warren Henry, the Warren Henry advantage. Meiser is tourist, leads it off at third. Eric Ibar is at short. Torrey Hunter's had a big series. He's in right. Bobby Abreu in the cleanup spot. Vernon Wells is back in the starting lineup. Howie Kendrick is right behind him. Big Mark Trumbo's at first. Hank Conger's second straight start behind the plate. Joel Pinheiro, who was raised in Orlando, is going to be in the 9 spot.
Well, Rich, there's a good look at the 31-year-old Brian Sanchez. 174th career game as a major leaguer, and this will be his second start. We saw his first start. It was in Los Angeles back on May 28th, and the Marlins won that game 6-1. He went 3 innings, gave up 3 hits, and just a run. So I would say that Jack and Randy St. Clair would look for 3, possibly 4 innings, and who knows, a great night, maybe even 5 out of Sanchez.
And this would be an interesting watch here to see how the Angels approach Sanchez. It's like facing a relief pitcher to start the game. Sanchez is not a hard thrower. That split finger, that fork ball can give hitters a lot of problems. His tourist leads it off for the Angels. He goes after a high fastball and pops it up. Stanton got a late start, and he's finally there, and he makes the catch. Marlins have been playing good defense this year, even during the skid.
And the defense brought to you by Volkswagen. There's Lomo and Bonifacio and Mike Stanton. Dobbs and Hanley, same alignment as last night. Omar Infante and Gabby Sanchez. John Buck behind the plate. And I still recall and like the line that Brian Sanchez had in Los Angeles about the start. He said, hey, I'm a bullpen guy. I'm going to approach it as if I'm coming out of the bullpen in the first inning.
Sanchez throws a strike to Eric Ibar, the switch-hitting shortstop. Sanchez was an outfielder in high school and in college. A look at Ibar, 3 for 9 in the series. And a strike, says Larry Vanover, who's calling balls and strikes.
And a good start as far as throwing strikes. It's the bases on balls have gotten Sanchez in a little trouble this year. The walks are up, 25 walks in his 37-plus innings.
Out in the shallow center, Infante's calling for it. You've seen 2 uncomfortable swings from Izturis and Ibar. The weather tonight is absolutely perfect. All your cooling brings you the weather. 89 degrees, 54% humidity. And here is Torrey Hunter. Now, this guy's had great swings during this series. Hunter is 5 for 9, and last night did some damage with 4 hits and an RBI. He drove in both runs in the 2-1 win for the Angels in the first game of the series. Sanchez with a fastball gets strike 1.
He's been busy this year. He's started every game but 1 for Mike Scioscia. Right now, a 5-game hitting streak, too.
Sanchez, of course, a reliever. He works from the stretch, and he misses in. Here's the 1-1. It's on the inside corner. Mike Scioscia, the skipper of the Angels. You see all the wins and the winning percentage. So 3 games under is not where the Angels are used to being in the standings. There's the forkball in the dirt.
When you think about it, too, Mike Scioscia at 52 in his 12th year managing the Angels.
2-time American League Manager of the Year, 5 American League West titles, and of course the World Championship back in 2002. Here's the 2-2 coming. Got him with a forkball, and that's nice. A 10-pitch inning for Sanchez to open up this ball game. That's just what the Marlins were hoping for.
del saco.
Underway and scoreless, bottom of the first. The Marlins lineup looks this way tonight, brought to you by Warren Henry Automobiles. Emilio Bonifacio in center. He leads it off. Jack likes Logan Morris in the 2 spot, and Gabby Sanchez in the 3 hole. Hanley Ramirez back hitting cleanup. Greg Dobbs, Mike Stanton, big nights last night. John Buck, Omar Infante, and Sanchez hits 9th. And this is Bonifacio against Joel Pinheiro, who runs one outside. It's 1-0.
Right-handers had a nice career in the major leagues. 32-year-old, last time out, won his 100th career game.
Pinheiro, who was born in Puerto Rico, you can see his season numbers. He opened the season on the disabled list with a back injury. Born in Puerto Rico, but he moved to Orlando, and that's where he was raised, and actually played at Edison Junior College. 12th round pick of the Seattle Mariners. He spent a good deal of time with Seattle. Was really reborn in St. Louis under Dave Duncan.
Yeah, he was one of those many Dave Duncan projects, and had some good years though in Seattle before he got to St. Louis.
Second year of a 2-year deal he signed with the Angels. Bonifacio slices that one to left field, and it gets down. Abreu cuts it off. Bonifacio didn't stop, and he is in there with a double. And the Marlins off to a good start.
When you have the speed of Bonifacio, you always have to think double. You get the ball in the gap here. A good play by Abreu to cut it off. But look at how he continues to run. He's running away from the play. When you see that as a runner, you go to second. You have his kind of speed, and it spells checkers double. That's what it spells.
Here's Logan Morrison. So good speed at second. And Pinheiro has always had that good overhand curveball, the 12-6 breaker.
He has that, and the other thing, when he's on his game, he has a good sinker.
Quickly, he's out in front 0-2.
Check in on the scouting report on Joel Pinheiro. Low 90s with that sinker, a cutter-like slider, and we've talked about the 12-6 curve, and not a real strikeout guy. He'll pitch to contact. Right now, Lomo trying to make contact to the right side of the infield.
0-2. Lomo drives it to center field. Wells will make the catch. Bonifacio tags, and he'll easily get to third base. Well, that'll do it just as well as a ground ball to the right side. Smack one to straightaway center field.
And with 2 strikes, Lomo hit that ball very well. Volkswagen again bringing you the defense, this time for the Angels with Abreu, Wells, and Hunter. Myceres Turris, Ibar, Kendrick, and Trumbo. Hank Conger saw him behind the plate last night.
Here's Gabby Sanchez, who started the scoring last night with a solo homer. Breaking ball, little tapper, and it's foul. Talking to Jack McKeon about Gabby, and he said that he has seen Gabby over the last few weeks, and I think you can say this about a lot of the hitters, try to do too much at the plate. And he said Gabby's always been a good hitter with 2 strikes. He needs to relax at the plate. He really felt that first at bat where he worked a full count and then hit one out was one of the best at bats of the night. 0-1. Ground ball. Bonifacio stopped, and he is held up there in a rundown. Bonifacio tagged, and Gabby gets to second base. If Emilio doesn't stop, he probably scores.
Yes, he does. And if you're going on contact, you can't stop. Speed got him to third. This was important. Right there he goes, and I don't know why he stopped. Because you either do or you don't when you're going on contact. And if you're out by 10 feet at the plate, you're out. But I don't think he would have been. Would have been a tough play for his Turris if he takes off right away. He was able to stay long enough to at least allow Gabby to get to scoring position at second base.
And so up comes Hanley. Hanley had 2 hits last night. He appeared as a pinch hitter in Game 1 of the series. Pinheiro gets a knee-high strike, and it's 0-1. A good sign for Hanley last night, driving the ball up the middle. Here's the 0-1. Into right center field. That's a base hit. And Gabby Sanchez will score. So the Marlins get that run, and Hanley cashes it in. And once again, Tommy, driving that ball up the middle, that time almost to right center field.
You could clearly see him, the way he swung and used his hands to stay back and take that ball middle or right center. Look at how he goes after that pitch down and in. And that is huge because it's with 2 out. It's after a base running mistake and heads up on Gabby's part to get to second base to come in and score on that base hit by Hanley. Nicely done all around.
Yes, yes, yes. Go Hanley.
Logan Morrison mic'd up for tonight's game. Liked what he saw from Hanley Ramirez. And here is Dobbs now. Dobbs has 5 hits in this series. Around the batting cage, Jack McKeon telling a lot of the hitters, hey, just be like Dobbs last night. Just flip it out there. We don't need the blasts. We need just a few bloops.
By the way, the first inning run allowed by Pinheiro in his 11 starts.
Dobbs back to the mound, and Pinheiro, a former teammate of Dobbs when they were in Seattle, fires it over to first in time. Marlins get a run and lead at 1-0. Underway for the 2011 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. You can help the Marlins get there. Vote the maximum 25 times online at Marlins.com and get a pair of tickets to a future Marlins game. You can also vote at the stadium for a chance to win a trip to the All-Star Game in Arizona. Go to Marlins.com for more information. All right, Brian Sanchez making an emergency start with the rest of the bullpen ready to come over the top rope if he needs them. Bobby Abreu shortens the bunt and takes ball 1. Abreu, Vernon Wells, and Howie Kendrick. Sanchez a 10-pitch first inning. Abreu, the veteran, hot. Having a very good month of June. And the count now 2-0. The Marlins, of course, stay in interleague play for a good period of time here. Headed to Seattle to take on the Mariners for 3, then to Oakland for 3 against the Athletics, and then to Texas for 3 against the Rangers. Seattle is in Washington. I know that sounds silly. Everyone knows that. But they're actually in Washington, D.C. taking on the Nationals. And the Nationals have scored first, 1-0 in the second. Last night, Doug Fister had the Nationals beaten. And then in the ninth inning, the Nationals came back and they got a Wilson Ramos walk-off homer to win it.
A 3-run shot. A win for the Nationals tonight, and they'll be at 500. They've won 9 out of 10 going into tonight.
2-2. Up the middle into center field. The base hit for Abreu. And up comes Vernon Wells.
You know, the Angels didn't take batting practice tonight. And I was talking to Mike Scioscia about that. He said one of the rare times. He said maybe 2-3 times so far this year. He's had the club just get a little later to the ballpark. Get ready, get loose. And he has veterans who know how to handle that. A Bobby Abreu, a Torrey Hunter, a Vernon Wells.
This would be Vernon Wells. Wells 1 for 5 in the series. Last night a night off for him, except at the end he pinch hit in the ninth inning. He's starting to heat up, and Angel fans are hopeful. Abreu is running on the first pitch. Buck's throw, not in time. Bobby Abreu, as old as he is, he's 37, can still steal bases. He has 11 now this year.
You know, the amazing thing, he has 12 consecutive years, and he's on his way to make it 13, of 20 steals or more. And as he gets up there in years, he still has that quickness. He still has that ability to get tremendous jumps.
0-1 pitch. Good breaking ball by Sanchez. Wells, of course, coming over from the Toronto Blue Jays. Sanchez so far into his second inning. He went 3 innings in his last start, and the Marlins were happy for that. Forkball fouled at the plate. Told you he was an outfielder in high school and in college. He is also one of the few Native Americans in Major League Baseball. The Caddo tribe. Beaumont, Texas is home. Ground ball to short, and that's going to keep Abreu at second. And Hanley throws out Vernon Wells.
Nice job to get Wells to pull that ball so he couldn't get Abreu over to third base. Yeah, the other thing about Brian Sanchez, we spoke of this when he started that game in L.A. Coming up in the minor leagues, 1 year he had 27 starts. The next year in Double-A he had 21 starts. And then all of a sudden he realized his best path to the big leagues would be out of the bullpen.
Here's Howie Kendrick, who fouls off a fastball. Kendrick 1 for 5 last night, 3 for 9 in the series. I told you, a good solid hitter, and he's lived up to it this year. He's over 300. Oh, 2. The Marlins, we take a look at the breaking ball.
So far, the one thing that Brian Sanchez has done really well is keep the hitters off balance.
Hendrick doesn't offer at the forkball. Of course, the Marlins have a pair of pitchers from Lamar University. Clay Hensley on the disabled list, but the news on Hensley is good. He is starting to throw, and the Marlins are hopeful that soon they'll have their 8th inning man back. And Sanchez has really flourished as a Marlin. As a Philly and a National, his collective ERA is over 6. As a Marlin, his ERA 2.29. Into center field, it falls. Bonifacio got a good jump, and Abreu has to stop at third base. And so the Angels are set up with runners at the corners and 1 out.
Because of where Hendrick hits his ball, it's a pretty good pitch that he hits, too. It hung up long enough that Abreu had to pause. He needed to make sure that ball did not carry all the way to Bonifacio. So by doing that, he only got to third base. So still a chance for a double play for a ball club that's hit into a lot of double plays.
Mark Trumbo hit into a double play in game 1. And the big man climbs in here against Sanchez with 1 out. Abreu and Kendrick on the corners. Trumbo just 25. Had his huge year last year in AAA. 36 homers, 122 driven in. Those numbers are even more impressive when you realize that the minor league season is usually around 145 games.
Yeah, about that. Usually ends Labor Day weekend.
Throw to first. Marlins go to Seattle, then they go to Oakland, and Oakland is hot right now. The Athletics have won 6 in a row, and Jack McKeon has some history with the Oakland Athletics.
That'll be a nice visit for Jack. Everywhere is a nice visit for Jack.
Jack McKeon may be 80, but as he told you, he doesn't feel 80. And today, he was like, he was everywhere. You couldn't escape Jack. It's on the Dan Patrick Show, I believe. It's on PTI.
Just about every national show Jack has been on already.
Well, Sanchez seems fairly certain that the Angels have something up their sleeve. He's trying to keep Kendrick close at first. He's running on the pitch. Trumbo swing and a foul tip into Buck's glove, but no throw. And the Angels have run wild on John Buck in this series.
We've seen a number of times, too, where they've run to stay out of a double play. When a double play situation has been there, they've taken off, they've been successful, and then all of a sudden that eliminates that double play possibility.
Now Sanchez obviously looking for a strikeout with 1 out and runners at second and third. He's got a switch hitter on deck and Hank Conger. Trumbo has a dozen homers this year. Got it. And that's the advantage you think a guy like Sanchez has first time through a lineup for a guy like Trumbo who's not seen that fork ball.
Good point, too. First time through. There's that dive ball. That fork ball dives down and in. And Trumbo chases it. Lomo letting us know how many outs.
All right, the Marlins are going to walk Conger now and go after Pinheiro.
The other thing about Jack, I was reading a story that U.S. representative out of North Carolina, Howard Coble, plans to send Jack a note and congratulate him on taking a job at the age of 80.
That's nice. Of course, Jack's major league pension. Jack's been working way past his pension anyways. And this is going to bring up Pinheiro. By the way, it's raining in New York. That's where Oakland is tonight to take on the Mets. The Athletics, and this is good news, I think, Tommy, because the Athletics have Gio Gonzalez pitching tonight. That means if the rotation stays on turn, we'll get to see the guy from Hialeah, the kid we've talked about so much the last couple of years.
I'm sure he would be very excited about that, too.
Here's Pinheiro now. Strike one from Sanchez.
Pinheiro had an opportunity when he was a Cardinal to swing the bat a little bit, but as a Mariner and an Angel, not too many chances.
Miami holds a special place for Pinheiro. Bases filled with Angels. It was here in Miami that Pinheiro drove to a tryout camp. Here's the 1-1. Swing and a miss. When he was in junior college, and the day of the tryout camp, it rained. And Pinheiro was so distraught, he asked the scout, "Where's the next one?" And he said, "Tomorrow in Clearwater." So he drove across the state in Clearwater, and that's where Seattle saw him, at that Clearwater camp, and drafted him in the 12th round, and Sanchez gets the strikeout. Angels leave him loaded. AT by Checkers, little place, big taste, and by All Year Cooling, today's comfort, yesterday's prices. Dinner is ready. It's 1-0 Marlins in the bottom of the second. We check in with Allison Williams. Allie?
Howard Cobold sent a note to Jack McKeon. Well, he actually did one better. You see, the two are friends, and he had a congratulatory statement entered into the congressional record. This is what he had to say. "Mr. Speaker, many senior citizens who travel to Florida are doing so to enjoy the retired life after years of working while filling their days with hours spent on the beach. Jack McKeon from the 6th District of North Carolina crushes this stereotype as he begins his second term as the manager of baseball's Florida Marlins." I showed Jack this before the game. He absolutely loved it, had a good laugh, and thought it was pretty neat. He also said the two of them are pretty good friends, and he would come out to the Greensboro games, and they would catch up and chat a lot of times there. But he was pretty impressed that he made the congressional record, guys.
That is impressive. And like we said, Allison, Jack everywhere today. He may have even sent out a few tweets. Here's the 0-1. And it misses inside to Stanton.
Well, that's the thing that we've talked about is you see a shift with the right-handed hitter up there. We saw the Brewers do that. Ron Renicke's been doing that with his club a little bit more.
And Mike Stanton drives one into left field, a base hit.
And all of a sudden, Mike getting free and easy up there, swinging the bat nicely. 3 hits last night. Starts tonight with a base hit. Not trying to do too much. Stay relaxed, stay easy, get a good pitch, keep it simple. But the other thing about Jack in here in Greensboro, as Jack was working as a special assistant to Jeffrey Loria, many times he would sit at games and he'd see the Gabby Sanchez and Logan Morrisons come through Greensboro and saw them play a few years ago.
As well, the Marlins brass has leaned on McKeon during that time to evaluate talent, not only in Greensboro, but also find himself going to see some AA games in Jacksonville or catching the AAA team as well. Buck takes a strike. Stand at first. Marlins got a run in the first inning. Buck an 0 for 3 night last night and just 1 for 6 in the series. Quickly, it's 0-2. Off day for the Marlins tomorrow, and they open Friday night in Seattle against Felix Hernandez, or King Felix as they call him. Ricky Nolasco gets the start for the Fish.
So we get to fly about 3,000 miles to see King Felix.
That's right. And Buck strikes out. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. Here is Infante. Omar last night with an RBI single in the 8th. He also had a sacrifice fly early in the game. And Pinheiro misses in. 1-0. Pinheiro last year, his first year with the Angels, made 23 starts. He's had back issues, shoulder issues the last 3 years.
He's had some solid years. He was a 15-game winner one year with the Cardinals. He won 16 as a Mariner. Talked about him being a 100-game winner. He won his 100th game. The 4th Puerto Rican-born pitcher to reach 100 wins.
It's great trivia question.
It's a great trivia. The Marlins have the leader, and Javi Vasquez is the leading Puerto Rican-born pitcher. Juan Pizarro and Jaime Navarro fill out that list.
Navarro I saw. Pizarro I did not.
A lot of American League, Milwaukee, Minnesota.
1-2. Trumbo and Infante is out number 2. It's going to bring Brian Sanchez to the plate. Sanchez, as soon as he knew he was going to make the start a few days ago, he started to get included in the pitcher's hitting session, which is big if you're a relief pitcher. Get in there and get to swing with the starters.
Get to have a few more hacks. Of course, American League pitchers look forward to that a few weeks prior to interleague play. Not so sure if general managers and managers look forward to it so much, but
be interesting to see how Jack uses the designated hitter once the team gets to Oakland. Remember, in Seattle, the Marlins are the home team, so it's National League rules. Pitchers will hit in Seattle. But in Oakland and in Texas, the Marlins will use the DH.
Who's been DHing a lot for Seattle? Jack Cust?
Yeah.
Left-handed hitter?
The big uppercut.
Yeah, so we might not see him as much.
And Sanchez goes down. So a leadoff single by Stanton is wasted. A 1-0 Marlins lead.
A big one that I made today was putting the red hot on my legs before I put my sliders on.
Oh.
Let's just say fire in the hole.
Yeah, fire in the hole. I'm back.
Oh, I gotta get my glove. Oops. Hey, can I borrow your glove?
Yeah. Oh, you can't find one?
I know it's in my car. I had to use it for something. Forgot about it. Bad boy, Sanchi.
He's got his glove now. I'm sure a clubhouse kid went out to his car and got it. Morrison today was filming a promotional spot, and he needed his glove, his gamer, for that spot. And he apparently left it in his car and used Dwayne Wise's glove in the first inning.
And lesson learned for kids, never put the red hot on the legs before the sliders.
Meiser is Turris, Eric Ibar, and Torrey Hunter now for the Angels against Brian Sanchez. Sanchez is 34 pitches into this thing, and he gets a strike at the knees. He worked a quick 1-2-3 first. Worked out of a bases loaded situation in the second.
He threw 58 pitches in that outing he had in Los Angeles in the 3 innings. But what a nice job over the last couple of years. If you look at last year and the year before that Brian Sanchez has done out of the bullpen, for the role that he's had, he's been tremendous.
Yeah, his ERA in the low 2s in 2.5 seasons as a Marlin.
And adding to his resume this year with a couple of starts.
In the air to right and deep, Stanton goes back at the wall and gone. Meiser is Turris, just his 4th homer of the season. The Angels had tied it a run apiece. That's only the 2nd home run allowed this year by Brian Sanchez.
Looked like a fastball that he wanted to get in, and we've told you he's not overpowering. It was 86 miles an hour, but it drifted back over the plate. And as Turris, generally not going to hit a whole lot of home runs. That's his 4th on the year.
Here's Ibar. Ibar popped out back in the first. Ibar and his Turris both with brothers in the big leagues. Cesar is Turris. Willie Ibar. That's trouble because Ibar can fly. Morrison picks it up, and his throw. Ibar's got a double.
A couple of tough outs at the top of the order for Mike Scioscia. It's Turris and Ibar.
And now this is the real challenge for a guy like Sanchez, who is a middle reliever by trade, is the 2nd time through the order. Because oftentimes when he pitches, he won't get through the order and see hitters for a 2nd time. In the Marlins bullpen, though no one is throwing, there's a couple guys starting to stretch as if they're ready to throw. And here's Hunter, who struck out back in the first.
Well, a real area of struggle for the Angels in this series. And they've struggled scoring runs. They've scored just 3 runs or less in 13 of their last 18 games. But they're 3 for 30 in this series with runners in scoring position.
Well, this is the guy that's kind of been the guy to drive him in when they've needed him this year, and that's Hunter. He didn't like that call.
Good pitch, though, a fastball in to kind of crowd him if Hunter was thinking about taking the ball the other way.
And he had a right to argue as he looked on Foxtrot. But even when he was arguing, he was smiling. Everybody likes Torrey Hunter.
One of the nicest guys in the game. Nice chat with him today. And he talked about getting out of a slump, what over the years he's tried to do. And if you could relay it to all young hitters, it's so simple. He said what he's always tried to do, and he's gotten locked in here the last 5 or 6 games, is swing at strikes. And when he's not hitting, he finds himself chasing pitches and swinging at pitches out of the zone. And it's been a pretty good career for Torrey Hunter.
Of course, he's got 9 Gold Gloves as well. A 4-time All-Star. 0-2 from Sanchez.
But what Brian Sanchez is trying to do now is get him to chase a pitch out of the strike zone.
You got Abreu and then Wells with Ibar at second. Lifted in the air down the right field line. Long run for Stanton, and he won't get there. Off the wall it goes. Stanton picks it up. Runner around third and headed home. And the throw comes into second. The Angels have 2 runs here in the third. They've gone homer, double, double to go up 2-1.
Well, you're absolutely right about the second time around with some guys who've been to the post a few times, some veteran hitters. They have a better idea. Isturis, Ibar, Hunter, and now Sanchez has to deal with Abreu. But guys who are getting a little better idea on the fork ball, staying off of it, making Sanchez come in the strike zone with a fastball that's not overpowering.
Randy St. Clair on his way out to talk to Sanchez, and that's serves 2 things. One, to settle him down a little bit. The other, to let the Marlins get Mike Dunn loose. So a 2-1 ball game with the Angels on top. The spot start, of course, the absence of Josh Johnson from the rotation has forced the Marlins to do it twice, but you can also point to injuries in AAA. Alex Sanabia's elbow issues. He's just starting a throwing program. Ineffectiveness of some guys in AAA as well. There really hasn't been a candidate to step forward and say, I'm the guy.
Villanueva, Kohler, Sean West. The steadiest of pitchers just recently, because he hasn't been there all year in AAA, has been Chris Sampson, who has major league experience with Houston, and he's been pitching pretty well.
Two and 0. Abreu single in the second. He's got 4 hits in the series. He's locked in right now. He's on one of those runs. The Marlins know it all too well. The many years that they've faced him. He's over 360 in his last 20 games. And a 322 career average against the Marlins, and that's a rocket that's not coming down for some time. Bobby Abreu tattoos a Brian Sanchez fastball, and the Angels now have a 4-1 lead, and it might be time to go get Brian Sanchez.
You have a guy like Abreu up there. Actually, the Angels have a number of guys you can give that green light to 3-0. You know they're going to be selective. Here's the 3-0 fastball, and there's the Bobby Abreu swing. Home run number 3 on the year for Abreu. What a career. Over 500 doubles, over 250 home runs, and over 350 stolen bases.
Not a good pitch right there.
Outside corner. Of all those home runs you talked about, 19 have come at the Marlins' expense in 520 at-bats.
Well, we talked about it last night. 10 against Javier Vasquez.
Yeah. Vasquez, who had runners on every inning and ended up giving up 10 hits. 0-2 pitch in the air, a shallow center. Infante calls for it. Vasquez ended up getting a little piece of history. Only 2 other pitchers since 1900 have allowed at least 10 hits in less than 6 innings pitched without allowing a run. And one of them, the spaceman, Bill Lee for Boston back in 1974, and the Cubs' Chuck Rainey back in 1983.
Spaceman was dealing, flipping that slow curveball, changing speeds.
A strike to Kendrick. So Sanchez had gone 37 innings and 23 appearances and given up just 1 home run all year. And here in this inning, he's given up 2.
And I think you hit the nail on the head talking about, as a reliever, most of the time he's going through the order once. But in a situation like this, he's asked to do it a couple of times.
Is it a foul ball? Buck says it wasn't a foul. The home plate umpire, Larry Vanover, says a foul ball. Here comes Jack McKeon.
Boy, a good view from the dugout Jack has, and he's not buying the argument that Larry Vanover's trying to give him. And the thing that I reacted on was the way John Buck came and got it and put the tag right on Kendrick right away.
Well, the other point of contention is, watch the hitter. On strike 3, did he head towards first thinking that he should run? Wow.
He didn't even come close.
Not even
to that
close.
ball.
Now
Not
watch
even
Kendrick.
close.
Kendrick starts towards first.
And then he hears Vanover call foul.
Wow, that wasn't even close.
What Vanover heard was the ball skipping in the dirt, thinking it ticked the bat.
Here's a listen.
Wow. Not even close.
That was a late call as well. Vanover didn't call that right away.
I'd say Kendrick better swing at anything close.
Usually when he swings, he makes contact, and good contact. Singled and stole the base back in the second. Drives that ball to right center. That's deep. Stanton and Bonifacio. Bounces over Bonifacio's head. Kendrick around second, and he ends up at third. The Marlins with a miscue in the outfield there costs themselves and Sanchez a base, because it turns into a triple.
Yeah, it's the second triple of the year for Kendrick, who gets a reprieve and should have been out. But the bottom line is, and Jack's going to make a move here, in the outfield, one of the two, Bonifacio or Stanton, Stanton's got to peel off. Mike Stanton has to come back to play that carom and keep Kendrick at second base.
Jack McKeon on his way out to the mound had a couple of looks and was chirping at Larry Vanover. 4-1 Angels. Here's a Marooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call?
Angels history in your estimation? Garrett Anderson, Rod Carew, Jim Fregosi, Nolan Ryan, Tim Salmon. How about Vlad Guerrero?
Maybe not there as long, but that's a tough choice. There's some good players there, some great Angels players.
Well, it's all well and good to throw Brian Sanchez out there and see how long he can go, but the problem is now the Marlins have to piece the rest of the game together with a bullpen that was worked last night after Javi Vasquez lasted just 5 1/3 inning. And Dunn is the first one out of the pen with the infield in. He gets a knee-high strike to Mark Trumbo. Marlins gambled one time this year with this, and they won. They had a tag team effort down in Los Angeles.
And I know it's all well and good to say you can get away with it because there's an off day tomorrow, but it just shows, and we just talked about it, the lack of depth right now to bring somebody up and fill this slot.
Trumbo pops it up, and so Dunn gets an important out. It keeps Kendrick at third, and here comes Hank Conger.
And you know what? If Mike Dunn can get out of this, it's a 3-run lead, a lot of baseball to play, and the Marlins have had pretty good swings off Pinheiro.
And the Marlins, for the second time tonight, are going to walk Hank Conger, who's probably looking around going, what? This doesn't happen much at all in the American League.
Well, this happened last night, talking to a few of the Angels in their game last night with Santana. He had started to put the slider together and was throwing the ball pretty well. And what happened, Socia had to pinch hit for him. As opposed to in an American League game, you can ride him for a couple of more innings.
Pinheiro struck out back in the second. That was against Sanchez. 58 pitches worth for Brian Sanchez. So here comes Pinheiro. His ball club has provided him 4 runs here in the third, and a 3-run lead. They're underway in New York, the Athletics and the Mets. That red-hot Nationals team tied 1-1 with Seattle in the top of the 4th.
They have really caught fire, and it's not that he's doing a lot of offensive help. He is swinging the bat well, but they've caught fire ever since Ryan Zimmerman came back.
That's one of the things about the Marlins spiral that took them to the depths of the National League East, is the fact that everybody else in the East was playing pretty good baseball while the Marlins were scuffling.
And that's why you can't compare 2003 to this year. But the amazing thing, in 2003, after 74 games, the Marlins were 35 and 39. Not quite as bad as they are now, but the same amount of games out. They were 13 games out after 74 games in 2003.
Dunn strikes him out. So down goes Pinheiro, but the Angels put up 4 2-home runs. Maicer Turris and Bobby Abreu.
Having that 4-1 lead. Jack McKeon is already the oldest manager in baseball history to wear a uniform. Second oldest all time. Connie Mack used to wear a suit at the age 87 when he managed his ball club. Jack's also at the top of another distinction of elderly skippers. Jack is the only guy in baseball history to be in 3 respective teams categories at the top of being their oldest manager. You can really argue 4 in the Marlins case. Casey Stengel, oldest in Mets and Yankee history at the ages of 74 and 70. Chuck Dressen with Detroit and Minnesota. Leo DeRocha, the Leo of the Lip, with Chicago in the early 70s, then went over to Houston, was the oldest manager in their team's history. But Jack, San Diego's oldest manager at 59, and the Reds at 69, and now 2 stints with the Marlins. And guys, one other story. Jack McKeon, the Marlins seem to like to hire him on holidays. Last time it was Mother's Day. This time it was Father's Day. His son Casey, who we see him scouting, I think he's working for the Nationals now, had planned and brought over to Jack on Father's Day a beautiful bat. In fact, he had several for the grandkids, 5 of them to be exact, with Jack's name on it, fancy, his record, the teams. And he said, well, this is outdated now, because the next day Jack was back in the major leagues changing that record. Guys?
Thank you, Craig. Emilio Bonifacio taking outside. And it's 3-0. Joel Pinheiro has been spotted to a 4-1 lead. The Marlins have the top of their order. Bonifacio, Morrison, and Gabby Sanchez. Pinheiro gets a strike. He has punched out 2 his first time through the Marlins lineup. Bonifacio a double his first time up.
Yeah, Pinheiro's last start, that 100th win, was in New York against the Mets.
Here's an odd bit of trivia regarding what Craig just talked about. Of course, in McKeon's first game with the Marlins here, they lost 2-1 to the Angels. At that point, the Marlins had lost 19 of their last 20, 10 one-run losses. They were only the second team in Major League history to go 1-19 and have 10 one-run losses over a 20-game span. The other, the 1943 Philadelphia Athletics, whose manager was 80-year-old Connie Mack.
There's some great statistical things. There's some great little personal stories. Jack was telling me the other day, his dog, Yogi, misses him. And every time we get a shot of him in the dugout, he said Yogi runs through the window thinking he's coming back.
Got to be a way to get Yogi to South Florida for a road trip.
Yeah, yeah. You see Lomo doing what he was doing, yelling to Joe. That means, let me see the signs again. Give them to me again. You want me to take again? Or do I have the green light?
Bonifacio
the best way, back. Rich, that I always thought to learn signs and not miss signs is to manage in your head. You're not going to see a hit and run with the score 4-1 more than likely.
Joe!
He's asking for the sign. You're not going to be bunting here. So you're going to look for the take. So if you have an idea what you might see, you're going to pick it up better, the sign.
And if you're Joe Espada, the hard part sometimes is when you start your sign sequence, sometimes the hitter isn't watching you and the runner is. And when you're at the plate or on first or second or third base and you catch the signs in mid signs,
you want to see him again.
You may have missed the indicator. You're not sure if he's given a sign already. Two and 0. Little tapper out in front of the mound, and Pinheiro makes the play.
And not a good 2-0 approach.
Stop by any Metro PCS store in Miami, Broward, or Palm Beach before July 10th and register to win a trip for 2 to see the Marlins take on San Diego. It's August 19th. The 21st trip includes airfare, hotel, and tickets to all 3 games. Don't wait. Stop by your local Metro PCS store today. Metro PCS, wireless for all. Sanchez long run there for Torrey Hunter. That's 0-1 to Gabby Sanchez.
Yeah, you'd like to see on a 2-0 pitch, if you have the green light, if you're swinging, you'd like to see a ball hit better than Lomo hit that ball, and he knows that too. It's just one of those things. He got a pitch, I'm sure that looked like a good fastball, but had a little sink to it.
You'd like to see him hit a ball like he had 0-2 in his first at bat when he hit the deep drive to center. Bonifacio in scoring position. The Marlins trying to pick him up. That one rides inside. It's 1-1. Marlins a travel day tomorrow. The Angels, they'll be headed home to take on the Dodgers. Gabby is out. Bonifacio now resides at third base. And here comes Hanley, who drove in the only run of the night with a single back in the first.
And remember that single in the first also came with 2 out, and it was big. Yeah, it's always been a nice rivalry with the Angels. Having grown up out there, of course, it's always been Dodger territory. But I'll tell you what, over the last 8 to 10 years, the Angels have grown much more popular.
I think right now, if you look at the state of each franchise, the Angels have a decided advantage right now. And of course, many people felt that the Dodgers should have hired Mike Scioscia as their manager. Scioscia, a great Dodger catcher, had some of his biggest moments as a player, as a Dodger. Hit some big home runs in the postseason for the Dodgers.
As a great former Dodger is his hitting coach, Mickey Hatcher.
Yeah, and he was, he spanned both World Championship teams in '81 and the '88 World Championship team. Scioscia was a Dodger for both of those. And in 1988, Game 4 of the National League Championship Series, he hit a ninth inning homer to tie a ball game against Doc Gooden.
Handled Oral Hershiser so well in that season, that tremendous '88 season that Hershiser had.
Two one misses in. Pinheiro trying to jam Hanley. And it's 3-1. You've got Dobbs on deck. See what he gets. 3-1. Little tapper towards short. Ibar makes the play, and the Marlins leave another out there and trail it 4-1. AT trivia question. We flip the phone. All-time Angels who have played the most games.
Boy, might have seen that name on the poll list as well.
Mike Dunn into his second inning. He took over for Brian Sanchez, who went 2 1/3. And Dunn is right at the top of the Angels order. Meiser is Turris, Eric Ibar, and Torrey Hunter. As Turris and Ibar both switch hitters, and both did damage against Sanchez in the third. As Turris a homer to right field, Ibar doubled. Torrey Hunter then followed with a double, and then Bobby Abreu hit a 2-run homer. And the end came quickly for Sanchez.
It's one of those games, if you're in the bullpen, you certainly come to this game ready, because you know most likely you're going to be used.
Let's check in with Allison Williams.
Rich, the Angels are celebrating their 50th year as a franchise, but they've changed their name a time or two. For the first 4 years, they were the Los Angeles Angels. Then for over 30 years, the California Angels. In '97, they became the Anaheim Angels. And in 2005, ownership decided to bring back the LA name. They are the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. And the only thing they've had more names is logos. They've had 10 different logos throughout the 50 years, 3 different color schemes that they've used. And you can see the retro one there from 63 to 64 with the diamond in the LA. When they were the California Angels, they had the whole state and then also the CA as their logo. Now it's just the simple A with the halo. But the message in all of this for Marlins fans, when they make the move to Miami next year and they're the Miami Marlins, perhaps a logo change or color change, to relax. It's all part of being a long-tenured baseball club. Rich, Tommy, back to you guys.
I like that. Relax. By the way, at 63 and 64, the Angels, under that older logo, played at Dodger Stadium. They played their home games there.
Those logos look like an epiphany there. Bright lights, a halo of lights. Walk into the light, Tommy. It's 1-2.
Relax. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the change.
So the Angels played their first years at Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers played their first years at Wrigley Field. No, the Coliseum. Didn't someone play at Wrigley Field for a year?
Angels did at Wrigley Field before they went to Dodger Stadium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not Wrigley Field in Chicago, but
there was a Wrigley Field in Los Angeles,
which is the ballpark. I believe I'm on this, which is the setting for the old-time show Home Run Derby.
Great show if you've ever watched it.
And the black and white Home Run Derby. It is a cool show.
A few years ago, they were replaying all those.
The funny thing, if you watch those old home run derbies, is how few home runs there actually are in that home run derby. Guys didn't hit a bunch of them out. That's a very close play. A bang-bang play to a guy who can really run. And Ibar is thrown out. Just thrown out. Here comes Torrey Hunter.
They get the big names for the home run derby. You'd have Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle. You'd have all the big home run hitters.
I think a gentleman that still works for the Marlins in a scouting capacity and a terrific baseball man, Roger Youngward, was the catcher during the filming of many of those episodes.
Who used to work for Seattle, right? Roger did.
And I believe now is working for the Marlins on the West Coast.
We saw him in the spring. We'll probably see him when we go out west. We can ask him.
Yeah, well, that would be a great. I don't know if we can get any of that footage, but they didn't focus on the catcher.
No. Or the BP pitcher.
Everybody okay? 1-2 to Torrey Hunter. We're talking about going back to Oakland, and that's one of Jack McKeon's managerial stops. 77 and 78, working for Charles O'Finley, one of the more flamboyant owners of all time. Jack will also get back to San Diego, where he was not only the manager, but also for a time the general manager.
Jack could do a whole Marlins Live on Charlie Finley stories.
Oh, yeah. Counts full on Hunter. Lifts one to center. And Bonifacio retreats and makes the catch. So Mike Dunn has settled things down, but the Marlins are down 4-1. Is working to make its system stronger, smarter, cleaner, and even more efficient. Visit FPLConnect.com to learn more. And by Coventry Healthcare of Florida, lighting the way to better health. Now that's tough as a broadcaster. Keeping your concentration, reading the billboards with Xmo or Foxmo.
Either Mo.
See,
Foxmo with the mojo. But you did a nice job.
Well, the Marlins have had their hits and their opportunities against Joel Pinheiro, Greg Dobbs, Mike Stanton, and John Buck here in the fourth. Pinheiro has punched out a couple. He's walked one. Dobbs drives that in the gap right center. It's going to nestle in for a hit. That's his 6th hit of the series. A leadoff single. Our Warren Henry player profile. A little look at Greg Dobbs in wins and in losses. Dobbs, of course, a Southern California guy. So I'm sure he went to a few Angel games when he was growing up.
Now you mentioned 2 came up in the Seattle organization. This is a chance now that the Marlins had the leadoff runner on in the 3rd inning, a leadoff walk to Bonifacio. They weren't able to do anything with that. Plenty of time left. They got to peck away against Joel Pinheiro.
Marlins have had the leadoff runner aboard in all 4 innings now. Pinheiro's sinker misses low.
And by the way, you and I talked about Dobbs' tenure with the Mariners. That was in the Lou Piniella era where Lou wasn't always going to give that young player an opportunity. He was more inclined to give it to a veteran player.
Here's the 2-0 pitch. And there were some pretty good young players that never really got a chance to play because number one, the Mariners were very good at that time, and Scott Podsednik in the outfield, he turned out to be a Rookie of the Year. Raul Ibanez had to go to Kansas City to get to play every day. Stanton scorches one into center field. That's a base hit. Mike Stanton with a couple of hits.
He hits the ball so hard. We've talked about this all year. The shortstop, Eric Ibar, cheated a little bit towards second. Most guys, a ground ball, he gets to it. But because Stanton's ground balls are hit so hard, not even a chance for Ibar to get a double play or to get one out. And a second hit for Stanton. He had 3 last night. Much better swings.
Now, John Buck did not have a good at bat in the second inning. He struck out on 3 pitches. Breaking ball misses away. Steve Cishek in the pen, and that's because the pitcher spot is a couple hitters away. You got Infante on deck, and then Mike Dunn.
And again, the perils of a bullpen game, quote unquote.
John Buck pops it up. Infield fly. Not a productive out, and here comes Infante. All right, here's your AT&T trivia answer. Who's played the most games in Angels history? It is Garrett Anderson.
I'll tell you what, when you look at their history, their offensive numbers, Garrett Anderson is at the top of just about every category for the Angels.
That's why it was odd seeing him at the end of his career in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Really struggling at the plate because he was such a dynamic and consistent offensive player throughout his years.
Over 2,300 hits as an Angel. A 296 lifetime average as an Angel.
Here's another peril of a bullpen game, and that is when you have a short bench, and the Marlins have 4 bench players, and you start running pinch hitters up there in the 4th inning. Jose Lopez is on deck. By the time you get to the 7th and the 8th inning, you've really handcuffed yourself in terms of any type of maneuvering.
Yeah, and the other thing, you had Mike Dunn out there who's done a terrific job coming in after the start of Brian Sanchez. Probably could give you another inning. But if you have to pinch hit for him here, then that means you just dip into that bullpen again.
So it's Infante with a 2-1 count. Dobbs at second, Stanton's at first. It gets by is Turris, and down the line it goes. Dobbs around third. He's going to score. And Omar Infante makes it 4-2.
Generally, the very sure-handed Maicer Turris picks that ball. Only 4 errors this year. This ball was stung, though, by Omar Infante. Gets by Turris in a hurry. I think he deflected it a little bit, slowed it down just a little, but hit sharply. It'll be a base hit, and Dobbs scores easily.
And so here's the first pinch hitter of the night for the Marlins. It's Jose Lopez.
And a guy who's had a little bit of history against Pinheiro, 3 for 8 in his career against Joel.
And he pops it up. So a couple of pop-ups, one from Buck and one from Lopez, and it's up to Bonifacio. The Marlins are going to stretch anything more out of this inning. Pinheiro is living at 60 pitches right now. Here in the bottom of the 4th.
By the way, in contrast to the Marlins' 4 players on the bench, Mike Scioscia has 6 on his bench.
Mike Butcher is pitching coach right next to him. And the count evens at 1-1.
We've been talking about the upcoming road trip, the trip into Oakland to take on the Athletics. We'll see Jamil Weeks, who's been up for a couple of weeks now, hitting over 360.
He is really stirring it up.
Yeah, he is.
For Bob Melvin's Oakland Athletics. Bonifacio, a soft one into left. Here comes Stanton around third. Abreu's throw to the plate. He is safe. Stanton just scores around Conger.
Second time tonight the Marlins have gotten a huge 2-out base hit. Hanley got one in the first inning. This one just looped off the end of the bat. If it's hit sharply, I'm not so sure Stanton scores. Watch Joe Espada aggressively waving him home. Abreu doesn't quite have the arm that he once did when he was a right fielder with the Phillies. But an accurate throw and a tremendous slide by Mike Stanton. And look at how Conger had the plate blocked. He was in good position. He had it blocked, and Stanton chose to go around, get the plate with his hand.
So here's Morrison now with runners first and second. The Marlins have squeezed another run out of this inning.
Nice night for Bonifacio. 2 for 2 and a walk.
Morrison has flied to center and bounced back to the mound. And Pinheiro misses down low. Now the Angels bullpen starts to stir a bit. Hisanori Takahashi starting to stretch down there. One-run game. Morrison pulls one to first. Trumbo steps on the bag, and the inning ends. But the Marlins put 2 on the board and draw within 1. After 4, here in Miami, it's 4-3. Schedule brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. Travel day tomorrow, and then Seattle for Friday night, Saturday night. There's no television on Sunday. But hey, we're back on Monday with Late Night with the Fish from Oakland. Just as we look forward to the upcoming schedule, you can live forward with Just for Men Hair Color.
And Rich, I like that a whole lot better. a travel day tomorrow as opposed to an off day tomorrow?
It is a travel day. It's not an off day. Now, the Monday is an off day in the San Francisco Bay Area.
What a great day to have an off day. I might have to check out Napa.
I'll bet you will. Bobby Abreu, Vernon Wells, and Howie Kendrick will greet Steve Cishek, who was the second man over the ropes. Mike Dunn for an inning and 2/3 in relief of Brian Sanchez, who went 2 1/3. All 4 runs go into Sanchez's column, and Abreu put 2 of those in the column with 1 swing. Amazing to think it was just his 3rd home run of the season, because he didn't just hit it out, he clobbered it.
And he hit 20 last year. I mean, his power might not be what it once was, but still just a tough out. We told you the lifetime on base percentage at 400.
Two and 1 from Cishek. He was part of the tag team effort in Los Angeles. Dunn was as well. Two and 2.
Mujica, a part of that. Badenhop.
Cishek's 2-2. Here was the game in Los Angeles. Sanchez gave up 1 earned. Mujica, then Badenhop, then Dunn. Of course, the Marlins offense scored a few more runs as well, and that gave
6 runs in that game.
Gave everybody a nice little cushion when they came in. Left center, Morrison. Sundays on Fox Sports Florida, join Tom Brokaw for Boys in the Hall. Personal stories of some of baseball's greatest legends. This week, Warren Spahn, Boys in the Hall. Sundays, presented by Subway, restaurants where winners eat.
Yeah, in that game in L.A., Rich, the Marlins jumped off to a quick lead. They scored 2 runs in the first inning.
Vernon Wells is 0 for 2. And Cishek bends one in for a strike. He's out in front of Wells, 0-2.
Boy, you look at the numbers this year of Vernon Wells, and certainly not the numbers that Toronto Blue Jays fans were used to seeing.
No, and certainly not the numbers that Blue Jays executives were thinking of when they signed him to the whopping contract, and then the Angels traded and have inherited that contract.
He chases a slider way out of the zone. He had a 5-year stretch with the Blue Jays, 02 through 06, where he averaged 28 home runs and 97 RBIs. Very, very productive player.
And a great outfielder as well. I mean, they've assembled some outfield here defensively with Wells, who's won 3 Gold Gloves. Hunter, 9 Gold Gloves. Abreu has won a Gold Glove. And Peter Borges, who Mike Scioscia told us is a guy that if he can play every day in the big leagues, someday he's going to win a Gold Glove. Cishek misses up, and he's fallen behind Howie Kendrick. Kendrick has 2 hits in this game and 5 hits in the series. He has singled and tripled.
You and I were talking about this last night, and I think for me, when we complete this series against the Angels, the guys that will stand out in my mind that we haven't really got a chance to see over the years, are going to be a Howie Kendrick and an Eric Eibauer, the way they play.
I'd add Jared Weaver to that list.
Yeah.
After watching him. Hanley with a nice play and a good inning by Steve Cishek. Marlins going to the bottom of the 5th, down a run.
Don't touch it. Don't rub it. Just tip your hat and say thank you for the base, sir. I'm like, oh my God. That's when they're throwing 55. Now they're throwing 96. Please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. Yes, sir. Okay. Because he tried to go away with that one.
They set up away?
Yeah. But with 0-2 with me, I think he tried to come in too, and he came back over the middle.
Oh no, I'm in. Get down. Yeah.
Logan Morrison all mic'd up tonight. Gabby Sanchez facing Joel Pinheiro in the bottom of the 5th. In a 1-run game, the Angels got all their runs in the 3rd. The Marlins, a 1-0 lead that was erased in that 3rd, and then 2 runs their last time up in the bottom of the 4th. And Gabby shoots one to right field, hits it pretty well. Hunter goes back, reaches, got it. Does he hold it? He does. He's hurt. A terrific catch by Torrey Hunter, who is down. The ball rolls out of his glove. The umpires have signaled catch, but Hunter is in extreme pain on the warning track.
9-time Gold Glover making a Gold Glove play, and he is hurting right now.
This is a guy that has robbed 36 home runs in his long career. This was not a home run that he robbed, but this was a terrific catch.
And Gabby hits the ball well. The other way, watch the leap. There's the catch, and then into the wall with that left shoulder. Notice how he put the hand over the ball. That is a catch. That is a catch. Fox Mo is going to show you a great look. Look at the concentration of Torrey Hunter. The catch, the wall, and keep in mind in an unfamiliar ballpark as well.
He goes down, and obviously he's hurt. He lands on that hard track on the same side that he hit. And watch him raise the glove with the ball in it.
Yeah, he raised it up. I've got it. And then once the play was completed, the ball came out. But it's a catch, and lots of concern right now for the Los Angeles Angels.
And so the Angel trainers are out tending to Torrey Hunter. Here's full speed.
We talked about Torrey Hunter just starting to swing the bat better, a 5-game hitting streak. He has started 74 of the 75 games the Angels have played. Even the 75th game, the game that he didn't start, he got in. So he's been out there all the time, just starting to swing the bat much better than he did early in the year.
It almost looks from how they're stretching him that it's the back that they're interested in or concerned about. I mean, your first reaction is shoulder. You can remember that's almost the same spot that Brett Carroll launched himself into the wall and broke his shoulder. But it looks like they're not looking at the left shoulder or the left arm or side.
Long-time trainer, athletic trainer for the Angels, Rick Smith, out there. Has been with them 34 years. After he knows the catch has been completed, it looks like he's grabbing for that left side, the hip area, lower back area where he crashed into the wall.
Not many have played the position better in their career than Torrey Hunter, and he's coming out of the game.
The good news, he appears to be moving all right. I mean, there'll be some soreness tomorrow. They have an off day as they travel to play the Dodgers back home.
Yeah, that can't be a comfortable cross-country flight.
They've had a crazy trip, and the Angels are referring to it as the Four Corners trip.
That's not in reference to Dean Smith.
Yeah, Seattle, New York, Florida, back to L.A.
Marlins have had a few of those.
Yeah.
So Hunter comes out. Peter Borges is going to come into the ball game and probably slide Vernon Wells over into right field. There's a look at Borges. And a nice round of applause for one of the all-time great outfielders in terms of defense, Torrey Hunter. 9 consecutive Gold Gloves. Fan balloting underway for the 2011 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. You can help the Marlins get there. Vote the maximum 25 times online at Marlins.com and get a pair of tickets to a future Marlins game. You can also vote at the stadium for a chance to win a trip to the All-Star Game. Go to Marlins.com for more information.
And without doubt, a huge play in this inning. If that ball's not caught, Gabby's at second base with nobody out. And coming up, Hanley, then Dobbs, then Stanton.
RBI single and a ground out to short for Hanley. And Pinheiro misses down low. Joel Pinheiro has not been overpowering in this one. The Marlins have had good swings and have had ample opportunity to add to their 3-run total.
Kind of the way we pointed it out in the scouting report, a guy who pitches to contact. And he has done that. Just 3 strikeouts, only 1 walk tonight.
Sinker misses low, and it's 3-0. Remember the conversation in Marlins Live today between Craig Minervini and Jack McKeon about his conversation with Hanley. Hanley wanted to know if he had the green light. Jack said sure. Hanley takes that 3-0 pitch for a strike.
That's a good pitch because he takes just a little off the fastball and gets some sink to it.
Dobbs is on deck, then Mike Stanton. 3-2. Yeah, Pinheiro early in his career in Seattle was a hard thrower. He would get into the mid-90s with his fastball. Struck him out. Hanley rung up, and here comes Dobbs.
Very interesting. Pitches 5 and 6. Look at 5 a little bit off. 6 came back, caught the corner. 6 actually a better pitch than the pitch before.
It's a nice job by Conger.
Yeah.
To frame that pitch. He kept his body still.
But to me, that's a good pitch for Hanley to hit. Out over the plate, he likes to extend. But he thought it was going to stay outside.
Dobbs now. Greg Dobbs has bounced out and has singled and scored. And the Torrey Hunter play is a big one for the Angels here in the 5th. Looked like a leadoff double by Gabby Sanchez turned into a highlight film catch in an early exit for Hunter with an apparent back injury. Dobbs pulls it. Kendrick on the outfield grass throws him out. And so Pinheiro, with the help of Hunter, goes 1, 2, 3 through the 5th. The Los Angeles Angels on top of the Florida Marlins. Mark Trumbo, Hank Conger, and Joel Pinheiro against Steve Cishek. Trumbo has struck out and popped out. Hey, Felo Ramirez, Hall of Fame Spanish voice of the Marlins. Between innings, and a special night for him. Not only does he get to tear down the number, but it is his 88th birthday tonight.
Feliz cumpleaños to Felo Ramirez. He is such a joy to be around.
Here's the 1-1.
When we start feeling a little tired on a road trip,
yeah,
and it's a 3 or 4 a.m. arrival, I look around and here's Felo walking behind me, getting off the plane.
Trumbo into center field. And so the Angels have their leadoff man aboard. Here comes Hank Conger. Present your Mikusuki Ultimate Rewards Players Club card at the stadium box office starting 2 hours prior to any Marlins home game and receive a $10 discount on up to 8 infield box seats. Offer cannot be combined and is subject to availability. Mikusuki Resort and Gaming. Get in the game.
First time Conger is going to see some pitches. The last 2 times up, he was walked intensely.
Trumbo may be a big man, but he has stolen 6 bases this year, and Mike Scioscia will run with anybody, anytime, anywhere.
That's part of the Dodger game that Mike Scioscia brings. You go back even to the 70s and then into the 80s when he was a part of the Dodgers. There were guys who weren't base stealers, but they would steal bases.
Two and one. Toyota Trent tonight. 25-man roster. 8 players 25 or younger. 11 have less than 2 years of Major League service time. So it's a young Angels team. You've got some budding power with Trumbo. Plenty of speed and versatility. I think if you ask Mike Scioscia if he could add or subtract to his team, what would he do? He would like to add some power. And we've touched upon it the first 2 games. Kendry Morales, a guy they were counting on for that. But he says sometimes in the American League, the Angels have to work so hard for runs to scratch out a couple runs. In the American League, there are some lineups that just by accident will score 2 or 3 runs.
I think one way he could do that is if he's able to get a Vernon Wells of a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago.
Two, he got him. Steve Cishek with his second strikeout. And we check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Rich, thank you very much. As you see Hank Conger go down, but boy, did he do a nice job earlier of blocking the plate. I guess he's fortunate that Mike Stanton decided to go with the backdoor slide and get in there. Earlier today, talking to Jack McKeon, as you watch Conger, and you no doubt know where he picked some of these techniques up. Watch him block the plate, and Stanton did get around him to get in, but he had to go in that backdoor fashion to get to the plate. And one thing Jack McKeon said, I'm sure you guys will agree, Mike Scioscia, you see the bunt there, and Cishek will tag out Pinheiro. Scioscia, Jack said, was one of the best ever. In fact, he'll put him right at the top of the list of blocking home plate at that big frame. He said you never got there. You might have tried to slide into him, but rarely did you get to him. And Jack knows he was a catcher too in his minor league days.
And that's why Scioscia's comments on the Buster Posey Scott Cousins collision held so much weight in the baseball world. It took 4 or 5 days for Scioscia to actually see the play and comment on it. And when he commented, he said, hey, it's a baseball play. And nobody's at fault. There's no one to blame. Hanley there, and he makes the catch. Steve Cishek, a couple nice innings in relief. Still a 1-run game.
When Jack McKeon took over this club on Monday, he addressed them, and one of his messages was to start having some fun, to loosen up, to enjoy coming to the ballpark. And one of the ways he tries to make these guys relax is to call them some different names, some different nicknames. Few of them that have caught on. Logan Morrison is not Lomo to Jack. He's Logo, or Twitter. Mujica is Chief. Mike Stanton is Wally, in reference to Wally Pipp, but no worries, nobody's being called Lou just yet. And he calls the bullpen catcher by the former bullpen catcher's name, Pierre. So he'll call them different names, the wrong name, anything to get them to crack a smile and have a good time out there. Rich, Tommy.
Ibar to his left. Thank you, Allison. That was one of the charming things about Jack in his tenure from 2003 through 2005 is his mispronunciations of names, or just flat out not knowing guys' names.
Encarcerone, Benitez.
Why the Wally Pipp reference to Mike Stanton? I'm not quite clear on that. We have to get the reasoning behind that from Jack. Or Logo. That's another one too. Buck sends that one into right center.
Logo or Twitter? I get that one.
Twitter, I get.
Yeah, he just changed the M over to a G. I think the Wally possibly going back to the couple of days that Mike missed and was out of the lineup with the eye infection.
Right, but no one came in and lit it up like Lou Gehrig.
No, but it didn't have to be. It's Jack.
That's a good point. Joel Pinheiro is getting exactly what he needed here, is a couple of quick outs in a low pitch inning. He's at 80 pitches now in the bottom of the sixth in a one-run game. Fonte drove in a run with a single in the fourth. And he hits another smash at his Turris at third. This one is Turris catches. A 5-pitch inning for Pinheiro. Cam time. Gabby Sanchez thought he had extra bases. That's Torrey Hunter out there, 9 Gold Gloves. He held on to the ball, had to leave the game. The Frostburg Coors Light freeze can. Steve Cishek enters in the top of the 7th. Cishek has pitched well here. A couple of scoreless innings. He gets Eric Ibar, Peter Borges, and Bobby Abreu. Borges in Hunter's spot in the lineup. Cishek catches the corner. It's 0-2. Other teams in the National League East. One team is not playing interleague, and that's the Phillies. They're in St. Louis, and they have scored first with Cliff Lee on the mound. 1-0 in the top of the 4th. The Phillies had a barrage of runs at the end of the game last night. The Cardinals had a nightmare of an 8th inning. They used 4 different relievers.
One of those unusual games. You saw the score and you assumed that Roy Halladay got his 10th win.
No.
But he went 6 innings, got a no decision, gave up just 1 run. But that 9-run 8th inning was crazy for the Cardinals.
Cardinals are having some major issues in their bullpen right now. Buck down to first as Cishek gets another strikeout.
I think it'll really be interesting to see how the Cardinals handle the absence of Albert Pujols for the next 4 to 6 weeks. Now, obviously, they're going to play Berkman at first base, and John Jay will get to play a little bit more in the outfield. But they'll need Halladay to stay healthy.
You know, I think one of the things that would really help them is if Colby Rasmus came around. He's not had a good year. Borges is a fast man. Hanley has to hurry, and he does, and gets him at first base. In fact, John Jay, the former Miami star, is in center field for the ball game tonight. Holiday's in left. Berkman is playing at first base.
Don't they expect to get Freese back pretty soon at third?
Freese just went out on a rehab assignment.
And they need that, too.
He's about a week away.
What a nice job for Steve Cishek. The only hit he's allowed was a single by Trumbo in the 6th inning. Working here in his 3rd inning.
Abreu takes a strike. Coors Light cold hard blast. And this is how Bobby Abreu used to hit him.
You've earned it, Bobby. You can take a little peek like that. That's all right.
Cishek's breaking ball.
Oh, that's a nice slider.
Got in the back door. Abreu thought it was down. And Bobby's brain synced with Fox tracks for the night. He was right. It was down. Cishek steps off. So Abreu with 2 hits. He's driven in 32, but he's only hit 3 out of the park.
Abreu, we've talked about his on-base percentage. He had 7 consecutive years as a Philly where he had over 100 walks. Not to mention threw in production with RBIs and home runs.
The Mets lead the Athletics 1-0. That's in the bottom of the 4th up in New York. And the Athletics are wearing those gold tops. Their equipment manager, they had a nice run at home after a losing streak, and they were wearing the throwback gold uniforms. And so they go on the road trip, and a couple players were grumbling that they'd like to wear those on the road. Well, the equipment manager secretly stashed them and didn't tell anyone.
Tough to get those by security, too.
But he also had to check with Major League Baseball to make sure that the A's could wear those on the road, and Major League Baseball kind of looked at it and said, sure.
A lot of red tape, gold tape to go through to.
Well, so they've got the gold jerseys and the gray pants and the white shoes going. I think Coco Crisp said, not our best look.
That's the old Phil Garner look.
But he said, hey, when you've won 6 games in a row, you want to stay with what you got. So if the Marlins show up in Oakland...
Wait a minute. Coco Crisp didn't like the look? I mean, he has a lot to talk about. Wasn't it Coco Crisp that went with the Dr. J look a month or so ago?
Tommy, Coco Crisp, one of the stylingest guys in the big leagues.
He went with the Oscar Gamble Dr. J look.
And what's wrong with that? Here's the 1-2.
It was 70s Fro Day. Coco Crisp.
So if the Marlins show up in Oakland next week and they're still wearing those gold jerseys, that's trouble because the A's will still be on that win streak.
How will that jersey look on Josh Willingham?
There are rumors that the Hammer might be a guy that the Philadelphia Phillies are interested in as they try to maybe add a bat. 1-2. Oh, gorgeous pitch, and that is strike 3. Abreu seems stunned. Cishek jogs off the mound. And the rookie for the Fish puts 3 scoreless innings in the books. Birthday. Who doesn't love cake, Tommy?
Cake and cotton candy.
I can't believe his partner Yiki the whole time wasn't watching the ceremony. He was
Yiki Quintana was focused on the game and his play-by-play, and was not distracted at all.
We, on the other hand, would have been majorly distracted. Here's Helms, and he takes a breaking ball for a strike. Wes Helms pinch hitting
after a terrific 3 innings by Steve Cishek, establishing a career high with 4 strikeouts.
Helms a ground ball in the hole, and that's going to be a base hit. Ibar got to it, but would have had to make a Superman play. So it's an infield hit for Helms. The Marlins have been getting their leadoff hitter on base most of the night. That's the 5th time in 7 innings.
Pinch hit number 7 for Wes Helms on the year. No chance at all for Ibar. And again, with a little bit of a short bench, you're not going to be seeing a pinch runner here. You are going to be seeing a pitching change, though.
Pinheiro exits after 6+ innings. Armaruti called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Maruti!
Here's a conversation between he and his hitting coach, Eduardo Perez.
Curveball, changeup. We'll throw the fastball, but he'll stay with his sit.
Do you throw changeups to lefties?
Not a lot. Fastball, curveball, he'll throw a slider. He ain't gonna give in either.
What's his velo at?
He's around 88, 87, 88.
There you go. We don't have to tell you much about Hisanori Takahashi. We saw him a little bit with the Mets last year. And you heard the one key question that Lomo asked. We used the changeup to a lefty.
Bonifacio shortened the bunt and he takes a strike at the knees. It's 0-1. Two for two with a walk. So Bonifacio on base all 3 times. Helms at first does not run well. So if Bonifacio does put it down, it's got to be a good bunt. And he pops it foul, and it's 0-2 just like that.
You heard Eduardo talking about the fastball, a little 88, 89, right in that range.
And while he won't throw the changeup to lefties, according to Eduardo Perez,
not a lot. He might, but not as much as he'll use to righties.
And he will throw it to a right-hander. Let's see if he throws it here. 0-2. He's going to try to bunt, and he pops it up. Conger makes the catch, and that, for the Marlins, is not a great at-bat.
Nope. In order to win games, you got to do those little things, and not a good effort at all by Bonnie. He knows it.
Here comes Morrison now. Takahashi, last year with the Mets, actually made 12 starts. And that was after a long and pretty good career in Japan.
Yeah, 37 years old is Takahashi.
Yamayuri. He was a first-round pick by the Yomiuri Giants in the Japanese League draft. One and 0 in the dirt, and it's 2-0. Well, you also heard at the end of that conversation Morrison asking what his velo is, and that's velocity, obviously.
That's velocity in Twitter.
Velo for Lomo. And that's the judge's fastball, and Eduardo was right on. Eduardo said 87, and that was the fastball, and that was 87. Three and 0. He pumped it up to 90. Gabby Sanchez on deck. Wes Helms at first. Bonifacio out trying to advance him when he popped up a bunt. It's a good pitch. Counts full.
Now, the thing where it becomes tough right now is Takahashi 3-2. You don't necessarily look for fastball. You have to be ready for it. But he has good command of his other stuff. He's not just going to give in and throw a 3-2 fastball. He might.
And the Angels just checking to see if Helms might be going on first motion. That right side is invitingly open with Trumbo in and over by the bag. Helms is running. And Morrison fouls it off.
Remember last year, Lomo was so good at hitting against left-handers. Actually had a better average against left-handers than against righties. Last year, Lomo hit .342 against lefties. You know Wes isn't going to get any kind of a jump, so you really have to be careful at the plate. If he's going again, it's one of those situations. If it's close, Lomo's got to protect him. If it's in the strike zone, he has to make contact.
And Mike Scioscia knows all about the running game, so he's just trying to see if maybe he can pick off a guy that's not used to running. I mean, Wes Helms is not used to getting a jump against a lefty to steal a bag. Not running. Morrison hits it to center field. Borges is out there.
And he did not get the 3-2 fastball.
So here comes Gabby Sanchez.
And here comes Mike Scioscia.
Got a right-hander ready in that pen. Takahashi does his job. Here's our Marooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Marooney!
Marlins Ballpark is a state-of-the-art venue unlike any other, with a retractable roof for air-conditioned comfort, all overlooking downtown Miami. The new Marlins Ballpark is opening next spring. Catch the excitement and call 1-877-411-2012 or go to marlins.com. You saw FLO tearing down the number. 38 games left in this stadium.
38 games left, but right now Gabby Sanchez has to deal with Trevor Bell, the right-hander coming in. Decent fastball, slider, kind of a slurvy slider. And I would think you and I were discussing this between innings, Rich. One of the toughest parts in interleague are hitters facing the relief pitcher, the guy that maybe you haven't even heard too much about, and the guy you're only going to see one time. And this is where I think scouting reports in this instance are very important. But one thing you don't know, you can say, okay, fastball, slider, curve. You don't know which pitch he feels comfortable with. Will he use the curve or the slider when he's behind in the count? Things like that.
This young man was born in Hollywood. Gabby swings and misses, and we're just like the hitters. We don't know an awful lot about guys in the bullpen in the American League, but as a broadcaster, I'm obliged to bring you this note about Trevor Bell, and certainly every guy that does a game when Bell appears goes to this note first. His grandfather, Bob Bell, spent 25 years in Chicago as Bozo the Clown. Here's the 1-2. It's fouled back. Bob Bell is his grandfather's name.
And Rich, we have gotten a report on Torrey Hunter. He sustained a rib contusion. X-rays were taken. X-rays were negative. So that's good news for the Angels.
The bad news for the Marlins is tonight the Fish have had opportunities to score more than their 3 runs. 5 times they've had the leadoff runner on, and only once has that leadoff runner come around to score.
Only the 5th and 6th innings they went 3 up, 3 down.
Leadoff single by Wes Helms here in the 7th. He's still at first. One-two to Gabby. Bell's 1-2.
Boy, a good battle by Gabby. Some tough breaking balls, tough sliders. Borderline, they're borderline strikes or balls, but he's trying to stay alive with 2 strikes, and he's fouling a number of those pitches off.
And he's facing a good young arm. Bell is just 24, and he was a sandwich pick back in 2005. 37th overall out of Crescenta Valley High School. Gabby lines it in the gap in right center field. Helms around second. Up with the ball is Wells. And it's runners at the corners, and here comes Hanley. That's why not advancing Helms in the early part of the inning really hurts.
And how about the at-bat of Gabby Sanchez? We talked about how he fouled off those tough pitches. You know what? He got another tough pitch. Look at this. Down, away, a little bit off the plate. But because he had his head on the ball, he was thinking that way. He drills it into right field, chasing Wes over to third. And you're absolutely right. The failed sacrifice makes this very important. And once again, here comes Hanley with 2 outs.
Hanley delivered in the first inning with a line drive single to right center. In the 3rd inning, he bounced out. Those were with 2 outs, and he struck out in the 5th. These have been good ball games between the Marlins and the Angels. 2-1 Angels win on Monday night. Last night, Marlins came back with a 5-2 win. In the dirt, snared by Conger.
You know, the amazing thing, and this is why it's so important for Hanley to get going. You're a visiting pitcher. You're in interleague play. You're out there. You're Trevor Bell. You're not looking at Hanley Ramirez, the 206 hitter. You're up there thinking about Hanley Ramirez, the all-star, the 300 lifetime hitter.
Hanley, a ground ball up the middle into center field. Base hit. Tie game. Hanley, his 2nd RBI single.
And Hanley put an all-star swing on that pitch. Again, staying back nicely, similar to the swing he had in the 1st inning with his 2-out RBI. Watch this. Pitch was down, it was in. He doesn't roll over. He knows it right as he hit it. Up the middle, tie game. Good swing by Hanley Ramirez.
Greg Dobbs is the hitter. Mike Scioscia is going to come out and make a double switch and bring another lefty into the ball game. So the Marlins have 3 hits in the inning and a run to tie it, and a big hit from Hanley. A Maroney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Maroney!
And Jack McKeon both going over their lineup card. Alberto Callaspo into the ball game. And his Turris moves over to short. Mike Scioscia bringing in the lefty. Scott Downs. It's lefty against lefty here. Dobbs takes a strike.
Downs came into this game. We saw him in the 2-1 Angels win. Had a 1-2-3 inning. Dobbs did not face him. Fastballs and breaking balls.
There's Gabby at second. Hanley's over at first. Quickly, it's 0-2. Six hits in this series for Greg Dobbs. Big breaking ball, and that is strike 3 call. So Downs comes in and ends the inning, but Hanley Ramirez has tied this game. 2 hits, 2 RBIs for Hanley tonight. Ramirez with a couple of hits. Wes Helms stays in the ball game, and he's at third base, and that means Edward Mujica will enter in Greg Dobbs' spot in the order. We touched upon it early. It's a bullpen game for the Marlins, and Mujica takes the baton here from Steve Cishek, who threw 3 terrific innings of shutout ball. Mike Dunn an inning and 2/3 of shutout relief. But the Marlins bench has grown thinner and thinner. They've used Jose Lopez as a pinch hitter, and now Helms, who's into the ball game.
Yeah, so the double switch. Helms stays in that 9th slot. Mujica comes into Dobbs' spot. Mujica last night with a nice inning and 2/3. But as you see this game tied and the 8th inning, the prospects of extra innings does not bode well with the bullpen that's going to be used a lot in this one.
Bullpen and bench, because if you get into extra innings and you've got a thin pen and you have to pinch hit for somebody, it's not the easiest of things. Jack McKeon checking that lineup card right now. Vernon Wells, Howie Kendrick, Mark Trumbo. A lot of baseball to be played before we get to extra innings. And Mujica has fallen behind 3-0 to Wells. 0 for 3 as Wells. Kendrick on deck. And it's 3-1. Wells to left. Morrison makes the catch. There's out number 1. Here comes Howie Kendrick. Marlins traveling tomorrow to Seattle. Seattle at Nationals Park tonight. Last night it was a big comeback and a wild finish. Tonight it's already in the 9th, and it's 2-1 Nationals in the top of the 9th. Drew Storen is in, trying to nail down the save.
Part of that bullpen that has been so solid. Storen with 17 saves. I haven't looked, but I would guess that Clippard's been in that game.
Oh, you know it, baby. An inning of work. I'll tell you what, Tyler Clippard deserves some all-star consideration.
And you don't hear his name mentioned because, rarely, lately there have been some guys who aren't closers who make that all-star team. But, yeah, you're right. He should be considered.
1.90 ERA. Howie Kendrick's not happy, but Edward Mujica's made some nice pitches. Wait, Danny Espinosa has 45 RBIs already this year. Drove in 1 for the Nationals. To center, Bonifacio.
I got another guy for you. I was checking out some of the RBI numbers that you would not think of. Second baseman with the Pittsburgh Pirates, Neil Walker, has 50 RBIs.
He's a good player. And a hometown kid. JM Lexus presents Leaders of the Game. The Angels at 270 in road games. Leading the American League. JM Lexus, price minus number 1. Click jmlexus.com to find out how. Two and 0 to Mark Trumbo. Smoked over the head of Helms. Off the wall, Morrison picks it up. Trumbo to second with a 2-out double.
Couple of base hits for Trumbo, boy, I tell you what, you look at Trumbo's numbers, he leads all American League rookies. There's a solid swing from the big right-hander in home runs and hits and doubles and runs scored. Having a terrific year. And getting an opportunity that he may not have gotten if Kendry Morales was healthy.
Well, the Marlins were able to walk Hank Conger on a couple of occasions intentionally to get to Joel Pinheiro. But remember, with the double switch, the pitcher no longer lives behind Conger. It's Alberto Callaspo, who's now at third base. So Conger struck out in his other at bat. Takes a big rip at that pitch. Oakland has tied the game against the Mets, 1-1 in the sixth. Liner to left, and it falls a base hit. Up with the ball is Morrison. The throw comes all the way to the plate. For some reason, Mujica was standing in front of home plate, and he actually cut the ball off. But the Angels get a big run. Hank Conger drives in Mark Trumbo.
You know, it's a base hit. It's going to be an RBI. The Angels are going to score this run. There was a mix-up with the cutoff, and this ball has to be cut off, and Conger should be at first base. It's one thing to have the Angels take the lead. It's another thing to allow them to get another runner in scoring position. It's not a bad throw.
No, it's a cuttable throw.
The throw's right there. But between Helms and Gabby, that ball needs to be cut off. Somebody has to cut that ball, keep Conger from going to second.
That's a call made by the catcher in most cases. And
it is, but 9 times out of 10, when you're an infielder and you're running over to cut a ball off, your peripheral vision, you're looking at the runner, you know if he's going to score or not. Catcher's going to help you out sometimes. Most of the time, you can make that decision.
I'm not sure Buck could offer much help in that situation with Mujica standing in front of him.
Yeah. So there were actually 3 cutoff men out there.
Well, Conger's at second. 0-2 coming to Callaspo. Wow, Sean Figgins took 3 called strikes for the final out up in Washington. Figgins is having just an abysmal year after signing a large contract. He struggled last year mightily. Former Angel. He's hitting 190.
Where they were looking at him as a leadoff guy, spark plug, top of the order. Hit behind Ichiro maybe.
1-2 coming.
Angels tonight have been a lot better with runners in scoring position. 4 for 10. First 2 games of the series, 2 for 26. Even though they won that first game 2-1.
One, two. Elevated a fastball and got him, but the Angels get to Mujica for a run. A 2-out double by Trumbo. Hank Conger makes it 5-4.
Where's the Garrett Anderson love? I mean, all those offensive categories, his name is right there at the top.
789, 789.
And Jim Fregosi.
Hank Conger.
Someday, his name may be on that list.
So the Marlins go back to work with Mike Stanton, John Buck, and Omar Infante.
And in downs, Socia has a lefty that's not just a lefty guy. He feels confident with him in this inning with some powerful right-handers coming up. Then he'll go to his closer, Jordan Walden.
Off the end of the bat, that may get down. It does. Stanton on his way to second. He's thinking about 3. And Mike Stanton has got himself a triple.
Yes, sir, Mike.
What a smart play by Stanton.
Third triple of the year, and he had the play in front of him. This is always nice. You're going up the line. You see this ball's going to drop fair. Right fielder Vernon Wells playing way over. So he has a long way to go. Mike knows this all the way.
Our Gunther Volkswagen drive of the game.
Telling you right about now, he looks over his shoulder. He knows he's going to get to third base. A great way to start this 8th inning.
Yeah!
So the Angels infield is in, and here is Buck with nobody out against the lefty Downs. And he takes a strike. Been a tough night for Buck.
3 hits last night for Stanton. 3 hits tonight for Mike.
Just 1 hit for Buck in this series. Your point about Downs, right-handed hitters hitting just .205 against him this year. After Buck, you've got Omar Infante. Boy, look at that, Tommy.
You want that to be at least around 50%.
At the least.
At the least, yeah.
And the count is 1-2.
And with nobody out, no contact play, ground ball, you're staying put at third base. Then you give Infante a shot.
So Downs is out in front of Buck. There's a chopper back to the mound. And John Buck doesn't get him home this time either. Now it's Infante with 1 out. Infante, an RBI single, has lined out. He's hit it hard twice.
Yeah, now with that out of John Bucks, it puts more pressure on Omar Infante, but you're right, he has had some good cuts tonight.
Now Mike Butcher, the pitching coach, he's going to come out. A right-hander just starts to loosen. And we saw the hard-throwing Jordan Walden in game 1, and he was impressive. that may have been to buy time for Walden to get loose for Helms. And I know it's lefty against righty now, but Helms much better against lefties than he is against righties.
Most closers aren't going to take too much time. They're able to get heated up quickly.
Let's see how they approach Infante. Omar is not a guy that walks a lot. He is 18 this year. But it looks like, Tommy, they're being cautious with Infante. It's 2-0.
If Infante walks, for sure they'll bring in Walden.
Breaking ball for a strike, 2-1.
Certainly not what you're going to look for, 2-0. That big slow curveball that just barely caught the outside corner.
Two-1. Infante holds up. It's 3-1. Marlins down a run in the bottom of the 8th.
The only other move Jack could make if Walden comes in to face Helms, he could pinch hit Wise, left-handed, because then he can always bring Bonifacio in to play the infield.
3-1. Another breaking ball. And let's see if that's what Mike Scioscia had up his sleeve. Pitch carefully to Infante and bring the right-hander in to face to Helms.
That's it.
And of course, the scorecard that Scioscia is working with is a lot deeper in both the bullpen and the bench than Jack McKeon's. Remember, 6 bench players, and he had a bona fide starting pitcher that went 6 innings. The Marlins have pieced it together and done quite well with 4 relievers, but they've had to burn a couple of bench players along the way. Here comes Walden. A Marooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Marooney!
So it's a left-handed bat to face Walden.
And Walden, we saw the other night, that fastball 97, 98, has a hard slider. And in a double switch made by Sosha, a new catcher comes into the game, Jeff Mathis. So he replaces Conger and will hit up in the order, and Walden will hit in Conger's spot.
You've got Infante at first and Stanton at third. First pitch fastball line into center field. That's a base hit. Point, counterpoint.
Can't get no fastball by D. Wise. Boy, it all got started by the big guy. Mike's triple. And then look at that, jumping on a first pitch fastball. Love to see the aggressiveness on the fastball. Good swing. Stanton scores easily, and it's a tie game.
Now Bonifacio with Infante at second and Wise at first. And Walden pumps up 97 for a strike. 5-5 game here in the bottom of the 8th. $19,721 here tonight. And Walden is just spewing gas right now.
In a truly entertaining game tonight, too.
That will make you shuffle your feet at 97.
Yeah, 97 at your melon. That's going to make you dance around a little bit.
Walden hasn't made any secret of it against Bonifacio. He's just throwing as hard as he can.
Tried the slider there.
If you see that pitch and it missed that badly, do you cheat now, even though there's 2 strikes?
You got a pretty good idea you're going to get the fastball. I think in this case, with as hard as he throws, you have to. And if he throws a good slider, then he's probably going to get you.
Fastball, little tapper towards third. Out there, Callaspo out at first base. The Marlins have to settle for the 1 run. A 5-3 double play just gets Bonifacio. Wayne Wise off the bench ties the game. Including Dwayne Wise, who stays in the game in center field.
The only place the Angels are going to turn a double play on Bonifacio is right there. Callaspo right on the bag as he fielded that across the diamond. Any other place, they're not going to get 2, and they get him by a step.
Leo Nunez enters at the top of the order. It's his Turris, Mathis, and Borges. Emilio Bonifacio now at third base for the Fish, with Nunez on the hill.
Third base has been occupied by Greg Dobbs, Wes Helms, now Bonifacio.
The Marlins have only Brett Hayes left on their bench.
And as we talked about all game, Socha has Wilson, Branyan, and Romine.
Nunez had to come in and get the last out last night in a 5-2 win. 1-2 to his Turris. Little tapper, and Fonte comes to get it.
Talking about Dwayne Wise, that big hit. As a career pinch hitter, Wise is a .313 hitter off the bench, 21 for 67 with 13 pinch hit RBI. So he's done a nice job in that role. And my mistake, Rich, Romine not with the club when they brought up the other pitcher last night. So just 2 guys on Socha's bench. Hard to keep track of these Angels.
It's Mike Kahn they brought up. Mathis pops it up. Gabby for a look. One and one. So Mathis coming in the last half inning in that double switch, and he's in the 2 spot. That moves the pitcher back down to the 8 position for the Angels. And Nunez gets a fly ball out to Wise. Wise, of course, will always be remembered in Chicago for that incredible catch that he made, sealing Mark Burley's perfect game, or at least helping Mark Burley get that perfect game. Of course, that was against the Rays.
Yeah, we're going to talk to Dwayne Wise on the road trip about that. We'll probably have that on Marlins Live. Frank Ford will be traveling with us.
Borges pops it up. Bonifacio and Hanley. Bonifacio, Hanley! Oh, yeah! Hanley Ramirez got to the tarp, rolled over, made the catch, and the Marlins now have a chance to walk off with a win. It's a nice play. South Florida, when you need a car, truck, or van, who are you going to call? 1-877-MAROONY. By Sonic. Right now at Sonic, you can get your hands on 4 premium beef hot dogs. Now just $1.99 each. And by Bad Teacher. In theaters June 24th. Well, Hanley Ramirez, 2 nights ago, yanked out of the lineup by Jack McKeon when he showed up late for a team meeting. Yesterday, back in the lineup, in the cleanup spot, 2 hits. Tonight, he's driven in 2 runs with 2 hits. And a terrific defensive play delivers this game to the bottom of the 9th.
Well, it looked like Bonifacio was going to try to get up on that tarp, and all of a sudden Hanley climbs a little bit further onto the tarp to make that catch. He's energized.
Morrison, Gabby Sanchez, and Hanley. And Morrison scorches one, but Kendrick makes the catch.
Webby cannot jump on or hit a fastball any better. The only problem, Kendrick was right there. Lomo with a good swing.
Sanchez 1 for 4. His single came back in the 7th. Breaking ball. Walden misses down low. He's not shown that he's able to throw that pitch for a strike. But man, when he brings the fastball, it's 97-98. Ball and a strike. Hanley Ramirez is on deck.
That's the good news.
The bad news is, after Hanley, the pitcher spot is due up. And as we told you, Brett Hayes is the last man on that bench. Walden yanks that one outside. There's Burke Badenhop. No doubt in this inning, if the Marlins get base runners on, Hayes will hit. That's out. Oh! Larry Vanover calls it a strike. Sanchez had started towards first. Here's Fox Tracks. Man.
No way.
It's out.
No way.
So it's 3-2 now.
That's tough too as a hitter, and I know umpires make mistakes, but you know, you're up there, you're battling a guy throwing mid to upper 90s. You have a good take, you spot it right away that it's off the plate, and it would have been ball 4, and all of a sudden you're still battling.
Three-two again. That fastball at 98 buried on his hands.
Gabby has had some great battles tonight. Back in the 7th inning against Bell. Battle. Breaking balls away. He finally took that one breaking ball into right center for a base hit.
To right. That's Wells.
Another good battle. Another well-struck ball.
The Marlins have hit 2 on the button here in the 9th and have nothing to show for it. Morrison and Sanchez, and now here is Hanley Ramirez. Four hits in the series. Both of his hits have driven in runs tonight.
Started him with the fastball. You got to figure Walden will try the slider. Remember, I don't think he's thrown it for a strike yet. stays with the heat.
His delivery, it almost looks like he slips.
Yeah, and that's why he's tough to pick up. There's a little herk and a jerk in it.
It's like that back foot yanks right off the rubber.
Oh.
2-1. Brett Hayes is on deck.
And Hayes is the last man standing on that bench for Jack McKeon.
Two and two. Jordan Walden, closer of the Angels, in a 5-5 game. Hanley gets a piece. Walden is a obvious max effort guy, and he has thrown 21 pitches.
He got helped out big time by that double play on the ball that Bonifacio hit to third.
Hanley to right. Wells makes the catch. Boy, the Marlins hit 3 balls hard. 2 at Wells, 1 at Kendrick. And it's on to extra innings for the Florida Marlins and the Los Angeles Angels. Chewy's getting a little thin on top there. Jack McKeon looking at his lineup card, almost hoping that another name might appear on there.
Well, and also looking at the availability in the bullpen. There's some question as to whether Ryan Webb would be available tonight.
Yeah, Webb with a stiff shoulder was not available last night. Questionable going into tonight.
So you think about who's down there. You got Jose Seda, Randy Choate. And if Webb is unable to get that shoulder loose, just those two. And Hopper will only have the 1 inning because he's the first hitter up next inning. Because no opportunity to double switch or anything like that with the shortness on the bench.
So Hopper for an inning. He's got Abreu, Wells, and Kendrick. This is the untampered with part of the Angels lineup. Guys that have been in there from the get-go, because Mike Scioscia has been double switching like a maniac all night.
I think he's getting into this National League stuff. He's such a sharp guy. I'm sure managers who are sharp like he is, hey, they have a great opportunity. He's been a successful manager for 12 years. But I'm sure deep down he'd tell you he loves this stuff.
Channeling his inner La Russa.
Yeah. His inner Lasorda.
Abreu up there with a 1-1 count. Badenhop misses outside. Hopper last night, a scoreless inning. He did give up a hit. He did not face Abreu. Remember, Abreu was the guy that choke walked. And then Hopper came in the middle of the Callaspo at bat. There's Michael Kahn. So the Marlins have seen Walden for an inning and 2/3.
Might be it for him. Walden due up 5th in this inning.
Three, 2. And it stays 3-2 to Bobby Abreu. If you've just happened by, the Marlins have 5 runs on 12 hits. The Angels 5 runs on 10 hits. Marlins got a run in the bottom of the first. And then the Angels put 4 up on the board in the third, and Badenhop walks Abreu. You know, sometimes when you're a fan, hey, want a ball?
Got the glove.
Oh, that's awful. You're going to get somebody hurt there.
And be careful. We saw Abreu pick up a stolen base earlier tonight, back in the 2nd inning, his 11th of the year. And I guarantee Wells is not going to be bunting. Well, I can't guarantee that, but I'd be surprised. How about that?
There he goes. Hit and run. Diving stop. Hanley on his knees to first. Yes. Great play by Hanley Ramirez.
Well, put a highlight reel together tonight just with Hanley Ramirez. Yeah. And because Abreu was running, though, there was no play at second base. Hanley knew that. You think about a decision you have to make. You know that Abreu's running, so you've got to go across your body from your knee to get Wells at first base, and Hanley does that. Look at that. Good stretch, too, by Gabby.
Here is Kendrick. The Phillies shutting out the Cardinals 4-0. 9th inning in St. Louis. That's a Cliff Lee start. Oh. 1-1. Howie Kendrick, a dangerous man, a single, a triple, 5 hits in the series. Badenhop sneaky fast when you're sitting on the breaking ball or the sinker, and he comes up with the fastball.
You know, the tough number on the Marlins being 4-8 in extra inning games. Just 1-6 in extra inning games at home. And you hope to play better in extra inning games when you're home. Still 1-2.
1 out in the 10th. Got him. Talk about a sinker whose bottom drops out.
Yeah, and getting a tough hitter in Howie Kendrick. That's the old dive bomber. Watch this ball. So much of a sinker depends on the arm angle for a pitcher.
All right, you got Trumbo up here.
And after Trumbo, the pitcher spot.
And Russell Branyan has pulled in on deck.
So you'd rather go righty against righty. Branyan, a big lefty hitter who is susceptible to the strikeout, but can also hit him 400 feet.
Branyan's got on one of those new safety helmets on, the new reinforced batting helmets.
They are not mandatory.
Someday they will be. 2-0. Ground ball. Hanley, and it bounces over his glove into center. Wise picks it up. Runner coming home. Here comes a throw. Safe at the plate. That's a base hit on a tricky hop that kicked right over Hanley. And the Angels make it 6-5.
Yeah, this ball had some serious top spin, and you can see what they like in Trumbo. He gets that top spin the way Mike Stanton does on the hard ground ball. Skipped over. I don't even think Hanley touched it. Wise with a good effort. And this one you let go because there's a chance that you can get him at the plate. Boy, that nasty hop, too, as that ball got over the glove of Hanley.
Jack McKeon has Randy Choate in the pen. He's going to bring Choate in to pitch to Branyan. So exit Badenhop.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Rudy!
Angels a 10th inning lead. Randy Choate. And he comes in to face Branyan. Breaking ball catches the corner.
Boy, he's so consistent. Choate is in finding that outside corner with that first pitch breaking ball. Then once he gets ahead, he'll expand it, go a little bit further out, or we've seen him go in with his fastball.
It's 0-2. Two outs, a run across. The Marlins will have the pitcher spot. Brett Hayes will take the at bat. Mike Stanton and John Buck in the bottom of the inning.
A semi shift on with the runner at second base. Hanley has to stay put where he is, but Omar Infante deep on the grass there, shallow right field.
To right, Stanton is there. And the Marlins need another run to keep playing tonight. Mike Stanton due up second. 6-5 Angels. All season long. Feed your wild side. The difference in this ball game is a hard ground ball up the middle that hopped over Hanley Ramirez's glove. Right there. Give the Angels a 6-5 lead. Logan Morrison is all mic'd up. And here's his reaction.
We just lined out 3 times last inning, and then that thing comes through. That thing gets through.
Both managers have had to go deep in their bullpens and deep on their benches. Michael Kahn takes over for the Angels.
7th game since being called up. He had 1 save last year and some brief time with the Angels. And the Marlins did see a little bit of Kahn in the game last night, and they were able to get a couple of runs off of it.
This is the last position player the Marlins have. Brett Hayes, Mike Stanton, John Buck. Kahn gets a strike. Hayes has had a very good year in limited playing time. But he pops that one up. Might be playable. Trumbo has room. 1 out. And here comes Stanton. Phillies beat the Cardinals 4-0. Cliff Lee, 9 shutout innings, 6 hits. ERA 2.87. What a month of June he's had.
Yeah, he got off to a slow start, but look out. Cliff Lee's getting hot.
Now Stanton. Oh and 1. 3 hits last night. 3 hits tonight.
missed with a slider. First pitch was a fastball. If he throws another fastball, he may have to pay the price if Mike can get on it.
It almost got on him. Two and one. Two and two.
Pretty good heat there by Kahn. 95.
Remember that run of one-run games. The Marlins have lost 11 one-run games in a row. Counts full. Right down the middle. Goodness.
He really has to be ready for that fastball. I didn't think Kahn would go slider because he hadn't thrown a lot of them for strikes. That fastball was right there. Sometimes that's just outthinking yourself.
Marlins down to their last out. John Buck 0 for 4 tonight. There's the slider, and it's a strike. Buck has hit 8 home runs. But he's behind in the count 0-2. Michael Kahn trying to finish it for the Angels. And Buck strokes it up the middle. Kendrick to first. And this ball game belongs to the Angels. The Marlins have lost their 12th consecutive one-run game. And the Angels take 2 of 3 from the Fish. They do it in extra innings. Michael Kahn has the Bank of America save of the game. Tough one to take for the Fish. Marlins had opportunities early. Let him get by. Did come back and tie the game. But the Los Angeles Angels are enjoying this East Coast stuff. They've won 4 of 6, 2 of 3 in New York, 2 of 3 here. That's the SunTrust play of the game. The Mark Trumbo RBI single. So the Angels head home to take on the Dodgers. The Marlins will travel tomorrow and open up a 3-game set against Seattle on Friday night. They get King Felix next. Marlins Live is next.